So, hello everyone. I'm Ellen, this is Ffion. We're from the Go Abroad team, and this podcast is going to be a bit about why you should go abroad and how you should go about doing it. So just a little bit about me. I went to Madrid. I studied biochemistry. I went to Madrid for a year. And yeah, going abroad is an incredible opportunity. You might hear people say it a lot, but it's often some of the best opportunities of your life. It's really transformative. You gain a lot of confidence, you gain a lot of social and cultural awareness, and it's an amazing opportunity to add something really unique to your future employability. So yeah, I'll just introduce my guests here. So this is Ffion. Would you like to talk to everyone a bit about where you went and what you did while you were there?
So I'm a criminology student and I went to Brisbane, Australia. And like Ellen said, it was the best experience of my life. It's such an amazing opportunity. And if you can go abroad with your course, I highly recommend doing it, because the skills that you learn and the experiences that you have, it'll be like nothing else. It's genuinely the best thing ever.
Yeah, I can second that. We often sound very cheesy when people ask us, so is it worth doing it? But it really is. It's like nothing you can ever do before. It's an opportunity to travel, but have it while you're adding something to your course, learning new things, adding things to your CV. It's not like travelling aimlessly. It's travelling with a purpose, which I think is really unique about studying abroad. So yeah, just to add on to where you've been, Australia. So what made you pick that country? Because I think a lot of times students, that's their main point of concern. We have a lot of partner universities, which, by the way, you can find on our website. If you do an advanced search and put in your course, it'll come up with a list of partner universities that you can go to. But common question is, how on earth do you choose out of all of these partner universities where to go? So how come you chose Australia? What drew it to you?
I think I've just always wanted to go to Australia. I have family in Australia that we've never met, and I was just like, how amazing would it be if I could study in this country, meet my family, which is really amazing. And I chose Brisbane. It was actually mainly because that was the hottest place I could go to.
the biggest difference to Manchester. Yes,
literally. And I just wanted to get away from this awful weather. And I definitely did that.
Yes, that's perfect opportunity. That is a big difference there. And yeah, that is another kind of specific thing to Manchester. If you want any other excuse to go abroad, well, how about the weather? Choose a place that's nice and warm. Awesome. Yeah, I was pretty much the same with Spain. I mean, I studied biochemistry with Spanish, so it was a perfect opportunity for my language skills, but also to be somewhere that's a great climate, that's not freezing all the time, where I could go outside without 50,000 layers on. Was very nice indeed. So yeah, as well as choosing your partner university or country, you also have to go ahead and pick specific modules as well. So I'm not as clued up on this because I did a kind of placement rather than a study abroad, but how did you go about the process of selecting modules?
So I just went on the university's website, and you can normally put a filter in of the course you study, what year you're in, and so on, and then just have a look what's out there, whether you want to. It depends on your academic exchange advisor, but mine was quite chilled really, and she didn't mind if I wanted to do other courses outside of criminology, but I did choose to stick within criminology and social sciences just because I took the opportunity to learn more about the Australian criminal justice system, which is really interesting. So yeah, just have a look at kind of what interests you, look at the course description, look at the assessments, which I think is really important. I mean, if you're not an exam person like myself, don't choose something with an exam, because that's just not something I wanted at all. So I made sure to pick modules that did not have exams, that just had essays, something I'm more comfortable with writing. And that's it basically. Just look into those and see kind of what the module covers, so that you know that you're going to like it.
Awesome. And that's another good point really, whereas if you stick just this university, you don't choose to go abroad maybe for a semester or a year, you don't necessarily have quite as broad horizons in terms of the modules you can cover. So going abroad gives you that opportunity to select modules that are not offered at the University of Manchester, modules that perhaps really interest you and might actually direct you in your future. So yeah, I'd say it's a really good opportunity for that, to kind of broaden your horizons, broaden your understanding of your subject area. As well, that was for me doing biochemistry abroad. It was really interesting to see culturally how things differ. So how does the way that they teach and the way that they learn biochemistry differ from here? And I think it's given me a kind of more well-rounded understanding of my own course. And obviously I can bring in information that other people in my year might not have had access to because they didn't have that opportunity to live their subject in another country. And I think this is a good opportunity to let you guys know as well that the applications are now open. So if you did not go to the Go Abroad Fair yesterday, you might not have heard, but the applications are open. So you can send us an email at the Go Abroad, the placement office, with your name, your student ID number, your course and the year that you're in, and we can set up an application for you. Other top tips, some frequently asked questions as well. Moving on for the side of how do you choose? Where do I go? What modules do I pick? Just some like general information about when you are choosing where to go is the cost of living. So this is a thing as well as kind of going off on one and picking course units that really interest you. You do have to think about the logistical side of things. So countries, it does cost different amounts, different costs of shopping, accommodation in different places. So that's something to really research. Outside of the university, how much is it going to cost me to actually live my life here? Because it is a significant amount of time. I don't know how you found Australia. I guess some areas it's more expensive than here.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it is a little bit more expensive, but definitely work out a budget before you go. I saved a little bit before I went as well. I was also eligible for the touring scheme, which helped a lot. And also have a look through your student finance, because you may be able to, obviously depending on if you're eligible, but you might be able to claim back your flights, your visa and your health insurance, which is obviously a big help financially. But my biggest tip is just like make a budget and try and stick within that, because you don't want to, I know so many people, they just went crazy for the first 2 months and then it was like, oh my gosh, now I have no money. And you just don't want to be in that position because it's not fun.
No, so budgeting, I'd say that's a really good top tip. As well, just as like a thing that some students might not know is that you do not actually have to pay additional fees to the university. So you're still paying, if you're doing a semester, you're paying just your normal university fees to the university. If you're doing a year abroad, it's kind of a bit better because you only have to pay sort of 15% for home students. It's actually a reduced fee. So rather than it being $9,250, it's around £1,300 for the year. So it gives you an opportunity, especially in universities in America, to have the opportunity to study there, but that's a useful thing. Obviously, there are additional costs that you, I guess, don't really know unless you do it, and things like visas sometimes you have to get. That was the case for me going to Spain. Also, there's accommodation fees, travel fees as well. I guess if you're going to Australia, they were quite significant. I don't know. For me,
definitely not cheap.
For me, going to Madrid, I was like, oh, at Christmas, it's only €40 to get there and back. But I don't know. Did you come back for Christmas?
No, I stayed out there. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, Christmas was my summer break, so I had 3 months off.
Wow.
So, yeah, really nice.
So that's really weird as well in Australia, isn't it? Because it's not like cold as well. So it's
yeah,
like
literally,
like in the sun over Christmas.
I spent Christmas Day on Bondi Beach.
Oh my gosh.
I've never even thought of going to a beach on Christmas Day.
Wow.
It was so strange. But yeah, over summer, like I travelled as much as I could. I did the East Coast, the West Coast.
Wow.
Went to New Zealand, Bali. Yeah, I just made the most of it. But again, that was because I budgeted and made sure that I could afford to do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as well as budgeting, which we've definitely emphasised, that's a really good tip, because it is easy when you step foot in a new country to be like, oh my gosh, this is like not home, like money doesn't count here. That's what I always thought. I'm spending in euros, it's not pounds, it doesn't matter. But that is something to bear in mind. But obviously, that's part of the learning curve while you are actually out there can involve financial aspects as well. But there is support as well for students. So our team helps students with like the kind of financial aspect, in that where there is something called the Turing scheme. So this is assessed automatically by Student Finance. But if you've got a family income sort of under 36,000-ish, usually there's a government sort of funded program called the Turing scheme that the university has access to, which is sort of assessed automatically, which you might be eligible for. I was eligible for that, so that helped a lot while I was in Spain to have an additional sort of, for me, it depends on the country, but I got about an extra £300 a month. And I say extra because this is another thing, you still do get your maintenance loan. So you're not funding it without a maintenance loan. Even though you're studying abroad, you still class as a student in this country, I guess that's why. So you still do get your maintenance loan when you go abroad. So don't worry about that. There's no stress in that aspect. It won't be really too different to managing your finances here. So yes, like we were saying, budgeting, financing, they're all very grown-up things, it seems, even more than living alone at Manchester. It can be like a step up to obviously go and study abroad elsewhere in another country. So yeah, it definitely hones in your organisational skills, I'd say.
Definitely.
And that starts now, really, from our application opening date, which is today, right until mid-November-ish for our semester abroad student deadline. Make sure you get that application in, I guess. Anything else to add on that one?
I'd say, just with your application, like, do as much research as you can into the country you're interested in, the university, like the area you'd be living. Definitely for your top 3 universities that you're interested in. Obviously, you want to have a good idea of the top 8, but for sure with the top 3, you need to just do really good research. You don't want any surprises when you arrive.
Exactly. And that's as well, when you're nominating your top 3, it's worth bearing in mind that you are in competition with students from other subject areas. So those top 3, choose them wisely, I'd suggest. Maybe don't put the top 3 all in Canada and America, like the most popular universities, which tend to be, it changes a bit year by year, but make sure so it's kind of like a balance. You pick the place you really want to go to, but you're bearing in mind that, let me have a good chance for getting into one of my top 3. And we sort of, like, just as a side note on that, we assess that. So it is depending on your strength of your application. So I'd put a lot of thought in the application if you can. And yeah, you use 60% as well for the grade average. So yeah, just to summarise as our first kind of podcast, top thing is our applications are open. So definitely do send us an application if you do want to go abroad doing your degree. Second one is really research the universities and the countries that you're interested in. Make sure they are doing the modules that you want to take, that they are accessible, that you want to live in that country, because you will spend a lot of time there. Budgeting, make sure you are on top, thinking about your financing, thinking about how much it's going to cost to live in your chosen country. And yeah, try and be as organised as you possibly can, but bearing in mind that, like, if it does seem overwhelming, which it can do, and kind of scary at first, especially with all the applications, that in the end this is such a worthwhile opportunity. You really will transform as a person. It's super cheesy, but we can speak from experience, and pretty much everyone. I don't know anyone who's been abroad and has gone like, well, that was a waste of time.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it's not. It's definitely a worthwhile opportunity. You gain so much independence, resilience, cultural awareness, and you gain this kind of global mindset, which future employers looking really far forwards are really looking for. So yeah, thank you so much for coming to my podcast, Fiona.
No problem. Thank you
and
for
also
having
for
me.
listening, everyone. So I'm going to have a think about our future podcasts, but we'll cover more specific areas. This one's more like a kind of welcome to our podcast, but also here are some really important information points to know for the moment. But I will cover some more specific areas, country-specific ones, and also some podcasts for incoming international students about life in Manchester as well. So I'll keep you guys updated. I hope you really enjoyed. Please do listen and give me feedback on this one. So thank you so much. Applications are now open as well. If I've not said that enough in this episode. But yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.